Okay, so my name is Patricia Gilligan, and I live in the suburb of Leichhardt, in the city of Sydney, in the country of Australia. Sydney is the capital city of the country of Australia, and I live in the suburb of Leichhardt, which is in the total mind-controlled inner west section or inner west community of the city of Sydney. It comprises many suburbs. The actual centre of which is the suburb of Leichhardt, where I'm living. You could say it's like the headquarters or the headquarters of the army base. The army base is the inner west section of the city of Sydney. It's a human mind control army base setup, patrol control system. And this is the end game in most cities. It is done, as far as I can see, strategically one by one, so that way the human population doesn't realise what's happening to them. And if you do realise, you're surrounded by it, and because it's a system that operates within the bounds of, shall we say, the law of the land, but even though it's actually not. In other words, it's illegal and against the laws of the land to stalk, harass and patrol people for no reason. But of course, if the powers that be make a reason for that, in other words, they're anti-life, anti-human, android entities, because they are anti-human entities. Can you see the implants in my eyes that connect me to this human mind control setup system? Probably not. Can you see the reflection? I can see them as I get close. I can see them in a mirror, because they are actually one of the implants that they put in the human body to connect you to their android tracking system. Some human beings may or may not have these implants in their eyes. They may have other substances or organisms that can be consumed into their body. And these also, I'm told, can be receptors for the artificial intelligent human mind control setup system around all human beings. But whichever way you look at it, you will be watched. But whether you will be intrusively watched, in other words, to where you are aware that you're surrounded by a total stalking force, when that happens, you're in the land of the dead and the land of the unknown, and you have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And you also, I don't know how to describe it. You will be powerless to do or prevent any mind control or any, it's an emotional kind of strategic put down of your humanness. They basically are taking your human spirit and even your human qualities, just what makes you kind of exist in a normal, natural way. They take that from you every day. You can't behave normally, you can't relax, you can't concentrate on what you're doing. And they take that for themselves. And also, they take it and imitate being you. And this will depend on what area they exist in the reality. If it's on the internet, human mind control, Android videos or programs, then the beings will pretend to be whatever you are at a given time. Like if you happen to be like what I consider to be, how can I not be aware of it when they surround me? How can I not be aware of it when they suppress me? How can I not be aware of it when you've got road rage vehicles all around you, gaslighting you with their bright blinking headlights everywhere you look? And when I say everywhere you look, I mean it's tuned in connection to the what they call nano microchip technology that they placed in my eyes when I was 25 years old. So it's a long time ago. Obviously, I don't want to give my age away on, although it doesn't matter because I'm the only one that listens to my own videos, you could say. But what I'm trying to say is that it's a long time ago, but they've been watching and patrolling all along. But while you are in the dark and not aware of this, and you are also suppressing yourself, in other words, like most of my life, I would have been suppressing myself with the obsessions and when I say obsessions, I mean obsessions means anything that takes over your mind that is not something that's a benefit to you. Some obsessions may bring you pleasure, like hobbies and things, so that's a different story, that's okay. But when an obsession is unwanted thoughts, unwanted ideas, and unbeneficial ideas to yourself that actually restrict your life and keep you limited and confined, in other words, to where you can't live a normal, happy existence. You're always preoccupied with unwanted thoughts, undesirable thoughts, thoughts that consume your life. They don't make you get out into the world and live a full, happy life, or even you're always connected to the wrong people, and these people are, of course, your android androgyne beings, which make up most of the population in most areas, So I think that, how shall I explain it? I don't think I can really explain it very well, but all I'm saying is that all human beings are monitored and watched. It's just that you won't be watched excessively to where they are totally trying to not just take over your mind, but actually eliminate your existence. That will only happen when you become aware of the nature of the android beings around you. In other words, you're aware that you are surrounded by, a large number of psychopathic types of human beings that are potentially human, anti-life, anti-human beings. They actually, if you know them personally, they will destroy your life. And even if you don't, they could still combine in community groups to suppress your activities and to keep you in their area and under their dominion. It's very difficult to explain this, but when it finally closes in on you, that's when you become aware that maybe a large amount of the people around you are of what they call a malignant, narcissistic, controlling, paranoid personality type, where they have to control the whole suburb. And this is when you realise, and you don't realise that that they are actually controlling and watching you. It's when you go out of what they consider to be your normal routine, I think sometimes. If you are suppressed and in a very suppressed routine, as I was most of my life, then they will only watch you, but they won't bother to bring in their control, patrol, negative anti-life regime around you, you could say. It is a regime because that means that it's like a army workforce, but it's comprised of real work people, but also, army operatives that pose as civilians, and they also employ the lower level human android population. And when I say lower level, I mean those that are, at the same level as yourself. In other words, they're not like, they're not power players in the city or at a world level, but they combine in vast numbers, and the powers that be use these minions to operate a stalking, patrol, control force around a limited, one-by-one strategic operation around a human being to bring their mind and body down whilst they extract the necessary energy, because even psychopathic and malignant personality type androgyne beings or human beings, because they are human, they're in human form. It's just that they don't have any connection to human life. They actually, like psychopaths, as we're told, don't see human beings or animals or any life as living. They might pretend to. They may even pretend to be animal lovers. They may even have close human relationships, but it's all a secret control program. They're still not what they appear on the surface. They're about controlling those life forms. You control two ways: by force or by seduction. You seduce first, then you take control. That's how the powers that be operate in the reality as we know, and that's also how the personal relationships and the community around you operates with you. It's all show and no go if you're a human being. You won't go anywhere. The only places I go is where they go. Wherever I go. They follow you. They surround you. They intimidate you in what they call a hidden, covert, secret way. It's out in the open, but it looks relatively normal unless you are in my shoes 24/7. If you were only with me for 15 minutes, they would just think that there was peak hour traffic around you and that it was particularly aggressive and frustrating because they're all bumper to bumper in peak hour, that type of deal. And you might think that if there's some motorbikes making aggressive noise, that they're a motorcycle gang, or that they're just young people that like to make a lot of noise with their motorbikes, but they're actually very negative sounds, and they are consciously done only when they go past the real human that they have targeted for this hidden sight and sound attack on your senses, which means that your whole reality is ruined, because what I see and hear is my reality. And at this present time, at this present moment, I'm extremely lucky because it's completely dark, and nighttime means a little bit of quiet inside the house. A little bit. Yes, the planes can go over, and strangely enough, I'm not quite sure why they've gone silent while I'm making this particular video, but I'm going to take the opportunity, even though I don't even know what video I'm really making, because I wasn't going to actually make one, but I'm aware that if you don't, you lose visibility. But at the same time, I'm not visible anyway, because the androids rule the internet. The androids rule every category on the internet. The androids rule the conspiracy section. The androids rule the psychology sections. The androids rule the truth tellers. The androids rule the philosophers. They're all false prophets. That's what they call the end-time false prophets, are the androgyne beings that will be telling you the truth. They will even be pretending to be me. In other words, you will have, as the psychopathic psychologist will openly tell you, the out in the open, very few, rare, out in the open psychopathic psychologists that will tell you about the psychology of their nature. And of course, they also are eliciting admiration and seducing you by doing this. But that, at least you know where you stand, but you're still seduced. So that shows you the power of and the cleverness of these beings, because most of them don't come out and say, I'm a psychopathic truth teller, I'm a psychopathic targeted human individual, I'm a psychopathic victim of the malignant narcissism that prevails in your area. No, they don't do that. They don't say that they will be the victim of the stalking patrol force. That's how they control the internet. That's how they control the computer system and the reality. So there you go. As you can see, the end game is very, 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 very deceptive and very well done. It's a mastermind that controls this earth, as they say. And the mastermind is Lucifer's artificial intelligent mind, and its demigod disciples that are your world stage players and your internet world stage players. The whole computer system is an artificial intelligent controlled android setup system. All the human beings on there are androgyne beings. They are Lucifer's prophets and disciples. In other words, they're, like we're told, are the end-time prophets. So those are the ones you'll believe and trust. But either way, before I run out of energy, and while it's nightfall and quiet and inside the house, because actually there was a gale blowing up before I started to make this actual video, freezing cold and a gale blowing up to, that's Lucifer controls, and the powers that be, Lucifer's disciples, control the elements. So they control all weather, all conditions. They can blow up a storm, they can bring down torrential rain, They can make it hot, they can make it cold, and they can tell you anything they like about this false earth matrix, because it's not anything that we're told. That's the main deception. My reality is being controlled by these beings around me. So when I realise that everything around me is staged, set up and negative against me, I also then have to realise naturally that the world stage that I think is real is also set up and staged and all false information. There's nothing that human beings are told from the day you're born that benefits you. It's all about human mind control. And that's because they need the entities that control Earth, the powers that be. These beings are not human beings, and they have taken over creative human minds, and many, worship the God entity of Earth. That is their God. They believe in that reality, and they're part of this artificial reality. Even though they may and usually do promote a natural life Earth, but actually that's also the deception. But I'm just going to show how they try to, even at a funny animal video, I pointed this out before, because I was starting to smile because I was watching all these cute animal cat videos, because I like the cats, and I can't have my own cat in the place. But I'm watching them, I'm starting to smile because they're so funny. But they will always bring you down, even at this level where you think they wouldn't bother, because these are not human androids deceiving me with false information or pretending to be the original real human beings. No, these are just bits and pieces of funny cat videos that people have put onto the internet. But because it is still an android human suppression system, see, this cat here is actually very wet. See how he's very wet? And he's a bit startled because he doesn't like being wet. Because cats feel, I'm told that cats feel very defenseless if they're wet, because in their natural habitat in the wild cats wouldn't go into water much, because when they get wet it slows them down and they can't therefore run away from predators. Just like I can't run away from the human android predators that surround me, because they're trying to wet me down, bring my frequency and vibration down, make me heavy with their anti-life negative energy around me that they throw onto you. Because if you realise you are being stalked and, hit with a sight and sound negative energy program around you, naturally you feel the weight of that. You can't live anymore, you can't live freely, you can't smile. You can't even find any contentment in basic things. So even if you're a very kind of simple human being like myself that actually, has got to the point where I don't expect to have much in life because I've let life pass me by. I've been suppressed by my own human mind control program that I allowed to overwhelm me over my life. In other words, you let your weaknesses that are actually set up and conditioned into you from baby through your developmental years, as we know. And everyone will develop some things, but if you are able to assimilate into this controlled computer type reality, they will not suppress you very much because you are going to serve their computer reality, that you're going to serve whatever they bring into being. Whereas if they see you as someone who's a bit of out of place or that doesn't generally follow the normal kind of human, society's timelines and, customs. You may or may not do this consciously even. You may have, just like myself, been conditioned to be afraid of too much human connection. That defeats you and it serves them for years, but when you realise some truths about the reality, then even though you're not normally sociable or therefore out there to actually contribute to any change or even to even voice your opinion, they like that. And that's where they will stay quiet on you and just let you stay suppressed in your normal confined manner. But sometimes accidentally through some personal relationships, or even if you dwell on your own youth and your life, you might question the nature of the people that have been in your life and around you, and then if you do it for a long, long time, sometimes just one person will completely open your eyes up to, the psychopathic nature and the anti-human nature of many human beings that you encounter. And it's just luck one way or the other. In many ways it's bad luck. I often think it was bad luck that I encountered personal people that opened my eyes up to the psychopathic nature of not just them but to others, because if you see it in one person and they may be like almost a textbook analysis, almost like giving you a crash course in the psychology and the psychopathy of not just the psychopath but really the androgyne beings which make up most of the population in cities. So they're actually enlightening you in a way that you understand, because not everyone, including myself, is academic enough to read a book on, say, psychopaths or psychopathy as they call it, or even the malignant narcissistic personality disordered humans, which are all artificial possession. It's all Lucifer's computer virus invading their mind. They are vessels for Lucifer's computer reality. They may or may not know it. They may be human beings that even protest against destruction of natural life. But that's just part of the deception, because the androids have to always be seen as the real humans, while they suppress and limit the real humans and keep you unheard and unseen, but also to where you can't even create a life for yourself. You can't really live. You can't live if you, are being patrolled in a hidden, aggressive manner by most of the community members around you. These are all really, as that song that I am going to do another movie or music review of when I can. You can't fight the armed forces, and you can't fight the armed civilian forces. You can't fight the armed community forces around you. You can't fight the armed community stage set up work people around you. They're all combined. They all have one mind, and they all use technology. They all use technology to communicate and to patrol as part of their work programs. Their work is doing real work and appearing to be real human, just as the truth tellers on the internet appear to be doing you a service. They're telling you how to escape their clutches. The psychopaths and the malignant narcissist type paranoid controlling beings are seducing you with the truth about them. They're telling you how to get out of a bad, psychopathic, malignantly controlling relationship, because they know the inside out of things. Lucifer's disciples and Lucifer's android beings. Lucifer's pretend humans know more about the truth than the real humans know, because they are the dark forces that are controlling you. They're like, you could say, when Lucifer descended into Earth, the original Earth, or descended in to take over the human mind because it had contempt for the creation of humanity, because it wanted to be in its original being of light, worshipped position as a great demigod, you could say, and saw the human creation as different to itself, which it probably was, because one is created technically, or not a natural offspring, you could say, whereas it's like creating a cloned human being in a laboratory. It's like an artificially conceived baby. It's like using genetics and science to create something that should be conceived naturally, or at least if it is conceived naturally, it's a different species, it's a different type of human being. I don't think I'm explaining that very well. And am I still recording? I think so, because the screen just come up and I don't know how. But either way, I think I'm repeating myself. These are repeat videos. I keep singing the same old song, playing the same old record, but and the record is already being heard, but it will be sung by the androids, not by me, or won't be heard by me or any real human beings, or those that are not of a psychopathic, steeped in the need for admiration, and for the human beings to give them their necessary fuel, which is energy, electricity. Only human beings have the positive life force. These dead dark beings feed off human energy, but unfortunately they don't feed off the positive human energy. They have to create the negative human energy, which is much more powerful and potent for them. They don't mind you being happy as long as you are worshipping them and bowing down and serving them and trusting them. So on the internet, if you trust and give your positive attention to someone, believing them to be a real human, that is still where you're giving them your energy. And the malignant narcissistic ones, which would make up a large amount of the internet human mind control Android players, agenda on the internet, because that is like all the androgyne beings serve Lucifer's different purpose. So they all extract different types of human energy and human admiration and human attention. But either way, you're giving to them, and therefore they're holding the matrix. They're holding the cards, aren't they? And then they play you. It's all for a given time, but what I'm trying to say is the demigods are all different. The internet demigods, when I say demigods, that simply means servants or disciples of the powers that be and the God entity of Earth. But if you don't want to assume that the powers that be worship a particular deity, that's okay, but it would probably make sense that they do, because most human beings look for a God or even if they don't look for a kind of spiritual or supernatural type God, in other words, something that you can't see but they think it's created everything. The artificial intelligent computer system is that God, because it is something that's controlling you. You're using it, you're worshipping it. You may not even agree with it, but it's still there. The internet goes through every bit of the earth. The internet is all around you. If you don't use it, it's still there. It's still watching you. It's still surveilling you. It's still tracking you. It's still trying to control you, even at personal interaction levels. It's always going to control you, because that's what this Earth Matrix is, unfortunately, for the remaining humanity, because, not a lot of real life is left now, because over time human beings have not human beings largely have ceased to procreate or create more real spiritual life. By real more spiritual life, I mean real human beings that have humanity in them, because most human beings will be controlled, and you will be stopped from finding the right mate even. You will be prevented from the correct personal relationships, or those that benefit this, or that make you more connected to your own creator, shall we say, assuming you believe all this. I would say that even if you don't want to believe any of this, still say to yourself, look, we're headed towards a total cyborg-controlled reality. Everything is done through computers and everything is controlled by a computer system. It's artificial intelligent computer system. Some people might say it's just a computer system. Well, of course it's a computer system, but a computer system is artificial intelligence. Most people know that, but you don't comprehend it. And then when you see an android in human form that is really an artificial intelligence survival paranoid controlling human being, or the equivalent of a psychopathic human being steeped in the malignant narcissism that is, that prevails their whole personality. But it's not a personality, it's a state of mind, and it's exactly the same as, a survival machine being. A survival machine being doesn't operate in higher frequency and vibrations, doesn't operate in love or happiness, because it's in what they call survival mode. So it's always in the moment, thinking that someone is trying to eliminate it. And it doesn't have to be that. So it treats the human beings as though that's why we say it's a reverse reality and it's a reverse world, because they reverse the roles round. They presume that the real life human beings are trying to eliminate them because they're in that paranoid survival mode. That's their mindset. So they're always out to get you. They're always watching you. They're always trying to take from you and control you. Most of them are not conscious, as they say, so therefore they're not aware that they're interacting and patrolling human beings and watching them to get their energy from them. They would actually reverse the role round, like the malignant narcissists, where they presume that what they're doing to the human being is trying to do to them, and they project that out. They will even, the more honest ones will even say that human beings, or those they interact with them, are doing what they're doing to them. And that's how they take control of the society and, the cities and things, because people believe that the human beings are the persecutors, or the guilty ones, or the ones that are somehow negative or wrong, while the predators are projecting what they're doing onto the real human. It's a very clever game that they play in the reality, but also it's a very clever game that they project onto the real human being. When you become aware of this, or you don't fall for the game, which is very hard not to, sometimes even when you're aware, like I consider myself aware of the nature of most human beings around me, but I still have succumbed to the game, and am still succumbing to the game, even in full awareness. So, because human beings are controlled by their human emotions. So even though you say that you're not affected by being stalked, and you know that it's all set up and staged, you still take it personally. And even when you try not to, it's still your reality, so you can't live. So you tend to, as the androids on the internet will say, it's a lose-lose game for the real humans. It's a win for them, but they also still see themselves as victims. They still see that the human being is something they need to copy, imitate, and take down. So they will do that regardless, because they have, I'm told, and let's be honest, you're talking about like the tale of Lucifer. Lucifer was renowned, was worshipped, but could not deal with the reality of the creation of the original man and woman creator human beings. Could not accept that. Saw it as somehow taking its position as a demigod from it. And this is how all these androgyne beings feel about real human beings. I'm guessing it's the same thing, because it's Lucifer's mind and Lucifer's malignant narcissus personality that has taken possession of their mind and body. So they're Lucifer's representatives here in Earth, and they're all around you all the time, whether you know it or not. But I'm just going to, because I'm losing energy here, even though it's wonderfully deadly quiet while I'm making this video, so I'm certainly pleased about that. And that's a surprise, because normally even when it's late of a night, you will have the plane still going over the roof. So although the mobile won't pick that up, I get distracted by it, but I'm actually not distracted. I'm almost perplexed by having a silent night, shall we say. But if I go outside the door, I'll be met with Lucifer's cold gale wind, and then the vehicles and even the pedestrians will surround me. They will take over my sight and sound. In other words, they take over my senses, so I'm in their virtual reality world that is all about and nothing about giving me just a normal, peaceful suburb to even go a few blocks. You'll have vehicles everywhere you look, parked with their engines running and their bright headlights in your eyes, like openly stalking and patrolling you. Just like complete, what you would call very suspicious, lurking people sitting in their cars, just watching and waiting for you to come past, and then pulling out as soon as you come past. Everything is strategically timed so that you feel completely surrounded. Everywhere you look, a vehicle will be turning in front of you. Everywhere you look, there will be bright flashing headlights in your eyes. And then if the actual vehicles can't bring your frequency and vibration down, because don't forget, they're monitoring my bodily sensations second to second. So moment to moment, they're monitoring due to the connection. The transhuman implementation is done on me. And so therefore, my every bodily reaction and sensation is being monitored by the vast artificial intelligent network that controls, the reality, because they want to extract the human energy. Human beings' energy is being ciphered for their life. And that's why they have all this, even though most people think it sounds very fairy tale and very, very out of touch to say this. They're like, oh no, this could not possibly be the truth of why they do all these things. But that's because, like myself, you don't know that you've been physically and mentally controlled and drained since the day you were born. That they want that negative energy from you. Even, I actually think, even though it's now a totally artificial, intelligent android, androgyne, physical reality, there are still different human beings, depending on how much you've been conditioned and controlled by the negative reality or the negative circumstances that you've been brought up in. So many human beings can be potential psychopaths or potential, the equivalent of the machine beings, the equivalent of artificial intelligent androgyne beings. Personally, I think that all of these are transhuman humans. I also am a transhuman human, but not by choice. This has been done against my will, unbeknownst to me, through surgical intervention or medical intervention in the past. Just as you could easily consume organisms that can make you a tracking device for these androgyne beings that are really watchers, community watchers. But they're not watching for the reasons that they will tell you they're watching. They are watching because they need the human energy, and they actually don't relate to human beings or life. They merely are perfect imitations of being a real human. That's how they deceive human beings on the internet and in the reality around you. And I'm just going to show how, even I was going to just make this a quick video, but just to show how the funny cat video, I mentioned how a cat feels under threat and very defenseless when it's wet, because I mentioned so that's actually a disturbing image, even though it is still not unfunny. But the next one, if you don't notice these things, you will think they're funny, but it's psychological negative mind control, and also it's putting negative ideas into my head, because I was actually smiling watching, half an hour of funny cat videos, but twice in amongst the 100, what I would call reasonably funny, innocent cat videos, they're always going to throw in, to bring your mood down, to bring my emotion down, one or two disturbing ones, which you may or may not notice. I just happen to notice it. Okay? So this one's the cat where it's not good because he's wet, but look at this next one. Not this next one, because that one is okay. See, the cat's... I hope I'm picking this up. I probably ain't. Okay, I better be careful too because it's, okay, so, I'm not going to show them all because otherwise, you know, even though they put these ones, I could show them because they are actually quite cute and funny. But I'm just going to wait for the one that isn't. Oh, this one is actually funny, so I'm going to show it even though I shouldn't. He's having trouble getting through his little thing. See, so that's kind of that, but okay. Okay, so look, see, this one's the disturbing one. Okay, this one's the disturbing one. Of course, the fella, the android, because I'm assuming that some of these could even be real human funny ones, but they're always going to have the android ones amongst them to bring you down. But androids control the internet and they control these videos. See, so they get you to watch them because you're looking for a funny cat video. You wanna laugh. See, it says try not to laugh, and they want to do that. I hope I'm filming this, but like the cat is biting the fella's fingers, and he's actually letting the cat bite the fingers, and then he's like, no, 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 and then he's like, I'm going to put you in the oven for biting the fingers. And that seems like a funny video, but see, that is not funny, and you wonder how much, oh, you really do say, you know, because most of the animal videos that are on the internet, even the ones where they appear to be protecting animals and saving them, they're all set up and stage videos, just as the world stage events and the whole world reality is staged and set up. Sometimes you can almost see it even when you are not aware of the Matrix. But when you're aware of the Matrix, because you're aware that everything around you is staged and set up, every single person that comes past you, every single situation you're coming to is nothing but human beings, or false human beings, androgyne beings, staging a set-up, planned situation around you, all strategically one after the other. They all play a little part. They're a combined operation. This sounds very out of touch and very remote and very bizarre to a lot of people. But when you realise it, and when you know that you are actually got the nano-micro technology implanted in you, and why this is done is for control. To watch, observe and control you. Many human beings will, in the future, openly and consciously decide to adopt this technology into their bodies. In other words, that's like combining the artificial intelligent technology with your human body. This is all very much not just away from nature and away from original creation, but it really is a limitation, even though you will see it as the opposite of that. You will see it as something that you're adding to yourself, because you already are under the illusion, the complete delusion that you're really a very limited human being, because that is not the illusion, because that's what you are in this reality. But that's only because the reality and the powers that be have consciously took most of your mind and fed you with false information about not just the earth and the reality, but about yourself too. And they never give you a chance to actually reach your full potential in your life. This is what happens to every human being. And you actually believe their narrative. You believe that you're a lot less than what you actually are, because if you aren't, why are they transhumaning you and me and putting all the information that you think and you know and everything that is human about you onto the internet for other people to think that it's the androids that are the real humans? Do you follow what I'm saying? No, I don't think so. But see how it says, oh, wait on. Okay, so he's getting in. I can't see if I'm filming this correct. I'm probably not, so I'll just I'll just stop the video after this because I'm losing. See? Oh, no, he's saying. And now you're going into the oven, he said, and now the next one is the wet one. See how that's disturbing to say, I'm going to put the little cat into the microwave oven because he was biting his fingers. He's like, but that's like a joke and it looked funny, but it's actually mentally disturbing because I took that information in, you see. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how clever and tricky and deceptive the internet is. They're all just one big artificial intelligent deception computer program. And I just use that but it just simply means that everyone on there is one of Lucifer's disciples pretending to be, an original real human being. And that's, like we say, that's the end game deception. And I don't know if you can see the lights in my eyes in the dark. I can see them. Can you see them being reflected? See? They are actually a nano microtechnology implant that connects me to that computer screen, to the Android beings, and to everyone and everything around me. They actually have this technology. Others that are more technically aware and more in the know about, computer systems and even, the Army's vast technology that they normally don't use in civilian society, but the reality is they do, just as we've heard in the past, even though I was unaware of it till recently, that they often have human experimentation programs going on innocent civilians unbeknownst to the general population. And when it's exposed, it's usually way past the time and no one cares anyway. But they are always doing this. They've always got these human experimentation programs on isolated, innocent human beings where they can get away with it. And they learn about the human condition, they extract the human energy and all these things that they need from a human being, because the powers that be and this earth is not controlled by human entities. Or at least they don't have human beings in them. See, that's not nice either. That wasn't nice either. That wasn't nice. And there's the snake, because we're told that Lucifer transformed himself into the snake to deceive the original Adam and Eve in the original paradise, which was a human paradise, because human beings actually had control over their reality. They could create anything they wanted naturally, because human thought combined with their high frequency and vibration human emotion creates a positive reality. And that's why you and I cannot create a positive reality, because we're mind controlled by the negative artificial forces that surround us, and we're unaware of this. We think it's just normal life, and it's not. It's not. It's not normal life at all. It's anti-life. And that's why you're always depressed, or at least at a depressive low frequency and vibration. You never, they always say get back to the garden, but of course they don't want you to get back to the garden. They want you to stay in, Lucifer wants you to stay in its artificially intelligent matrix reality. That's the truth.